Peace starts the moment you stop giving other people and their problems control over your mind. Every day, many people feel tired without knowing why. They carry other people's opinions, they replay old hurt, they worry about things they cannot change, they react too fast. They lose calm in small moments. Over time, that pressure becomes heavy and life begins to feel harder than it should. This audiobook is for the person who wants that to change. Inside this journey, you will learn how to notice toxic influence before it takes root, how to accept reality without wasting energy on what cannot be controlled, and how to build a stronger inner life through daily self-awareness. You will also see how clear boundaries protect your peace, how inward focus creates real progress, and how calm thinking helps you handle stress with more control. There is also something deeper here. You will learn how to release old pain, build simple habits that strengthen discipline, choose wiser responses, and take full responsibility for your peace. That kind of change does not happen by accident. It begins with honest thinking and daily action. If your mind has felt crowded, tired, or pulled in too many directions, stay with this. What follows may give you the clarity and strength you have been needing. Chapter 1. Recognize toxic influences and protect your mental space daily. Your mind is one of the most important places in your life. Every thought you accept shapes the way you feel. Every voice you listen to shapes the way you see yourself. Every person you allow close to your mind shapes the way you spend your energy. That is why protecting your mental space is not a luxury. It is a daily duty. Many people go through life feeling tired for reasons they cannot explain. They wake up already stressed. They carry heavy thoughts from yesterday. They spend time with people who leave them confused, small, angry, or drained. They absorb other people's fear, complaints, and pressure until their own thoughts become noisy and weak. Then they wonder why peace feels so far away. Peace does not disappear by accident. It is often slowly stolen by too much noise, too much comparison, too much gossip, too much pressure to please everyone, and too much time spent around minds that are not healthy. A person can have a good home, a decent job, enough food, and still live with mental chaos every day because the mind has been filled with the wrong things. This chapter begins with a simple truth. Not every voice deserves space in your mind. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every relationship deserves your energy. Not every problem deserves an emotional response. Once you understand this, life becomes clearer. You stop living like an open door. You stop allowing every person and every situation to walking into your thoughts and stay there as long as they want. A strong mind begins with careful attention. You must notice what weakens you. You must notice who leaves you feeling confused after every conversation. You must notice what kinds of content make your thoughts scattered and restless. You must notice what habits make your spirit heavy. Many people never ask these questions. They just keep consuming whatever is in front of them. They keep talking to people who drain them. They keep scrolling through constant noise. They keep accepting stress as normal. Then their mind becomes crowded and tired. Protecting your mental space starts with awareness. Awareness means you stop pretending that every influence is harmless. A toxic influence is anything that repeatedly damages your peace, weakens your focus, or pulls you away from the kind of person you want to become. Sometimes it is a person who always complains but never changes. Sometimes it is a friend who turns every good moment into competition. Sometimes it is a family member who uses guilt to control you. Sometimes it is a habit of reading too many upsetting messages or watching too many negative videos. Sometimes it is your own inner voice repeating old fear until you believe it. One of the most important signs of a toxic influence is how you feel afterward. If a conversation leaves you tense, smaller, angry, ashamed, or confused, pay attention. If a person often brings drama, criticism, manipulation, or pressure, pay attention. If something you consume fills your mind with fear, envy, or hopelessness, pay attention. Your emotions are not always the full truth, but they are useful signals. They can warn you when something is harming your peace. Many people feel guilty for noticing these things. They think being a good person means staying open to everyone all the time. That is not wisdom. That is carelessness. Goodness without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Kindness without discernment becomes self-betrayal. You do not protect your mental space because you hate people. You protect it because you respect your life. You cannot help others well when your own mind is constantly under attack. There is a difference between helping people and carrying people. There is a difference between caring and absorbing. There is a difference between listening with compassion and allowing someone else's chaos to become your own. Mature thinking understands this difference. A wise person can care without being consumed. A disciplined person can listen without being pulled into every emotional storm. You need to become honest about the voices that shape your inner life. Some voices come from people around you. Some come from the past. Some come from fear. Some come from the urge to compare yourself with others. Some come from social media and the constant stream of opinions that appear on your screen. The world is full of people trying to tell you who to be, what to want, what to fear, what to buy, and how to measure your value. If you do not guard your mind, you will spend your whole life reacting to other people's noise, instead of building your own peace. A practical way to begin is to do a quiet mental inventory. Ask yourself who leaves you calm and who leaves you drained. Ask which conversations make you clearer and which ones make you more anxious. Ask which apps, pages, or shows leave you mentally heavy. Ask which habits make your mornings more peaceful and which habits make your thoughts scattered before the day even starts. This is not a one-time exercise. It is something you return to often because life changes, people change, and your needs change. Once you see the pattern, take action. Reduce unnecessary contact with draining influences. That may mean answering less quickly. It may mean keeping conversation shorter. It may mean limiting time on certain apps. It may mean stepping back from people who always demand your attention but never respect your peace. It may mean turning off notifications so your mind is not constantly interrupted. It may mean deciding that certain topics are no longer available for discussion. You do not need to announce every change with a dramatic speech. Quiet boundaries are often the strongest. Many people think boundaries are rude. They are not. Boundaries are a form of honesty. They say, this is what I will allow. This is what I will not allow. This is what protects my well-being. Without boundaries, your energy gets spent according to other people's needs instead of your own values. With boundaries, you begin to live with purpose. You begin to choose where your attention goes instead of letting others choose for you. Daily mental protection also requires discipline with your environment. The first sounds you hear in the morning matter. The first messages you read matter. The first thoughts you feed matter. If you wake up and immediately enter other people's chaos, your mind starts the day already under pressure. If you begin with a few quiet minutes, a clear thought, and a simple intention, your mind becomes steadier. That small difference can change the whole day. Create a morning practice that protects you before the world can crowd your mind. Sit quietly for a few moments. Breathe slowly. Notice your thoughts without obeying them. Decide what kind of day you want to live. Choose one principle to carry with you, such as patience, calm, discipline, or truth. Then move into the day with that intention. This is not about perfection, it is about direction. You are training your mind to lead instead of follow. The same idea applies at night. The way you end the day shapes the state of your mind for tomorrow. If you fill your last hour with arguments, endless scrolling, or painful comparison, your mind goes to sleep carrying tension. If you end with reflection, quiet, and a little distance from noise, your mind has space to recover. A peaceful night is not accidental. It is built by what you choose to allow before bed. Protecting your mental space also means protecting your attention. Attention is your life in motion. Where your attention goes, your energy goes. What you repeatedly look at begins to shape what you believe is normal. If you stare at drama all day, drama starts to feel normal. If you stare at people living fast and shallow lives, your own life may begin to feel dull. If you stare at other people's success without grounding yourself in your own path, you may begin to hate your own progress. Attention must be guarded with care. This is especially true with social media. It can connect people, teach people, and inspire people. It can also steal focus, trigger comparison, and fill the mind with constant urgency. Not every account deserves your time. Not every trend deserves your reaction. Not every opinion deserves your emotional energy. Scroll with awareness. Ask yourself after using it, do I feel clearer or more scattered? That question alone can save you from wasting many hours and many emotions. The same is true with conversations. Some people talk to connect, some talk to compete, some talk to complain, some talk to heal. Some talk only to hear their own voice. Learn to tell the difference. It is healthy to listen with respect. It is also healthy to leave a conversation when it becomes a place where your peace is being chipped away. You do not need to stay in every discussion. You do not need to answer every question. You do not need to explain every choice. A calm life often requires fewer words, not more. There is power in silence. Silence gives your mind room to breathe. Silence helps you hear your own thoughts, instead of carrying the thoughts of everyone around you. Silence makes it easier to see what is true. A noisy mind reacts quickly and thinks slowly. A quiet mind thinks clearly and reacts carefully. That difference changes everything. It changes how you respond to criticism. It changes how you handle pressure. It changes how you handle people who try to disturb your balance. Not all toxic influence comes from outside. Sometimes the most harmful voice is inside your own head. You may replay a mistake many times. You may speak to yourself in harsh language. You may compare your progress with other people and always find yourself lacking. You may assume the worst before anything has even happened. These thoughts can become a private form of poison. They wear you down slowly. They make you distrust your own strength. This is why self-talk matters. Speak to yourself with honesty, but do not speak to yourself with cruelty. Truth does not need abuse. You can correct yourself without destroying yourself. You can recognize weakness without making it your identity. You can admit fear without becoming ruled by it. A disciplined mind learns to say, "This is hard, but I can handle it. This situation is uncomfortable, but I do not need to panic. This person's behavior is not mine to control. I made a mistake, but I can improve." That kind of inner language builds strength. It does not deny reality, it meets reality without losing itself. That is a deeply stoic way to live. You see what is happening. You respond with reason. You do not hand your peace over to every moment of pressure. You stand steady inside your own mind. One practical method for protecting mental space is to reduce input before you increase output. Many people rush to speak, post, decide, or react before they have actually thought. They let the world pour into them all day long, then they wonder why they feel unbalanced. Instead, build moments of stillness into your routine. Before responding to a difficult message, pause. Before joining a heated conversation, pause. Before believing a rumor, pause. Before reacting to stress, pause. A pause can save you from a great deal of emotional damage. In that pause, ask simple questions. Is this true? Is this useful? Is this mine to carry? Is this the right time to respond? These questions create space between the event and your reaction. That space is where wisdom lives. Many regrets are born because people react in the absence of space. They answer too fast, they take offense too quickly, they share too much too soon. They enter conflict without thinking. Mental protection means building that space on purpose. Another important part of protecting your mind is choosing your company carefully. You become more like the people you spend time with. This is not just about personality, it is about habits, standards, and attitudes. If you spend time with people who complain constantly, your own mind can become more negative. If you spend time with people who are disciplined, honest, and steady, your own mind begins to learn those qualities. People shape the rhythm of your thoughts more than you may realize. This does not mean you must cut everyone off or judge people harshly. It means you should be wise about access. Not everyone belongs in the inner circle of your life. Not everyone is ready for your full trust. Not everyone deserves to know your private struggles or your deepest plans. Protecting mental space includes protecting the level of access others have to your thoughts. Some people can be friendly without being close. Some people can be respected without being deeply trusted. That is not cold, that is wise. There will be moments when you are tested. Someone may try to provoke you. A friend may pressure you to gossip. A relative may dismiss your goals. A coworker may spread negativity. A stranger online may attack your character. In those moments, your job is not to win every argument. Your job is to protect your peace. Sometimes the strongest response is a calm face and a quiet refusal. Sometimes the strongest response is leaving the conversation. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. This takes practice because the human mind naturally wants to defend itself. It wants to explain, correct, and prove. But not every battle deserves your attention. Not every insult deserves your energy. Not every conflict deserves your voice. A person with real inner strength knows when silence is more powerful than reaction. That does not mean becoming passive or weak. It means choosing your battles with intelligence. You should also learn to protect your mind from the weight of other people's emotions. Some people want you to carry what they refuse to face. They may dump their anger, fear, or frustration onto you and expect you to absorb it. If you are not careful, you will begin carrying emotions that were never yours. Compassion does not mean becoming a container for every person's unresolved pain. You can care deeply without taking ownership of what belongs to them. This distinction is essential for long-term peace. A stable mind also needs rest. Mental protection is not only about avoiding harmful influences, it is also about recovering from them. Even healthy people can become mentally tired. Even strong people need quiet. Even disciplined people need space to breathe. If your mind is always in motion, it will become fragile. Rest is not laziness. Rest is maintenance. Sleep well, sit in silence. Spend time away from screens. Take a walk without filling every moment with input. Allow your mind to settle. A quiet walk can do more for your thinking than an hour of mindless scrolling. A few minutes of writing can help you understand what is bothering you. A calm conversation with one wise person can give you more clarity than a full day around loud opinions. Choose nourishing experiences. Choose people who leave you better. Choose habits that restore your focus. These choices may feel small, but they build a stronger life over time. There is also a deep lesson in learning not to take everything personally. When people are unhappy, they often behave from their own pain. When people are insecure, they often try to control others. When people are confused, they often speak carelessly. If you take every word as a personal attack, your mind will stay in a constant state of defense. A more mature response is to step back and ask what the behavior reveals about them. This does not excuse harmful action, but it helps you avoid carrying unnecessary pain. The more you understand this, the less power toxic people have over you. Their mood no longer controls your day. Their opinion no longer defines your worth. Their chaos no longer becomes your emergency. You remain steady because your center is not built on their approval. It is built on your values, and that is the heart of this chapter. A protected mind is a powerful mind. A protected mind can think clearly. A protected mind can make better choices. A protected mind can stay calm in pressure. A protected mind can build a life without being dragged by every disturbance. When your mind is protected, your energy becomes available for growth instead of survival. You stop spending yourself on things that weaken you. You start spending yourself on things that matter. This is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. Every day you will choose what enters your mind. Every day you will choose how long it stays. Every day you will choose whether a thought deserves attention. Every day you will choose whether a person gets access to your peace. That is why discipline matters so much. Freedom is not the absence of limits. Freedom is having enough self-command to choose what serves your life. A person who cannot guard their mind will always feel pulled. A person who can guard their mind becomes harder to manipulate, harder to shake, and harder to distract. That person begins to move through life with more calm and more purpose. Not because the world becomes easier, but because they become stronger. So start today. Notice what drains you. Remove one unnecessary source of noise. Create one small moment of silence. Answer one message more slowly. Say no to one conversation that only spreads stress. Refuse one form of comparison. Replace one harmful habit with one quiet and useful habit. These small actions may seem ordinary, but ordinary actions repeated daily shape the mind more than dramatic promises ever will. Your peace is worth protecting. Your attention is worth guarding. Your mind is worth defending. You do not need to accept every influence that enters your life. You do not need to carry every person's problem. You do not need to listen to every voice. You have the right to be wise with your energy. You have the right to build a life that is calm, clear, and grounded. The world will always offer noise. People will always bring opinions. Problems will always appear. That is part of life. But your mind does not have to become a place where all of that settles and rules. You can choose what stays. You can choose what leaves. You can choose what you feed. You can choose how you think. That choice, repeated daily, is how a stronger life begins. Keep your mind clean. Keep your attention disciplined. Keep your boundaries clear. Keep your heart open enough to care and strong enough not to collapse under other people's chaos. That is real strength. That is real peace. That is the beginning of a life that belongs to you. Chapter 2. Accept reality and release control over people and outcomes. Your life begins to change the moment you stop fighting what is real and start working with it. Most people suffer more from resistance than from the actual problem. They argue with what has already happened. They replay situations in their mind and imagine different outcomes. They expect people to behave according to their own standards, and when that does not happen, they feel hurt, angry, or disappointed. This pattern repeats daily, slowly draining their energy. Reality does not bend to personal preference. It does not adjust itself to match expectation. It simply unfolds based on actions, circumstances, and time. When you resist this truth, you create unnecessary stress. When you accept it, you create space for clear thinking. Acceptance is often misunderstood. It is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is not approving of everything that happens. It is the ability to see things as they are without adding emotional noise. It is the decision to stop arguing with facts. When something has already happened, your denial will not undo it. When someone behaves in a certain way, your frustration will not change them instantly. Acceptance allows you to face life directly, instead of wasting energy wishing it were different. One of the biggest sources of frustration is the desire to control people. You may want others to understand you perfectly. You may want them to act fairly at all times. You may want them to respect your effort, support your goals, and respond exactly how you expect. When they fail to meet these expectations, you feel tension. The truth is simple. You cannot control another person's thoughts, emotions, or decisions. You can influence through your behavior, but control is never guaranteed. Every person operates from their own experiences, beliefs, and limitations. Expecting full control over them will only create disappointment. Instead of trying to control people, focus on understanding them. Observe how they behave without forcing them to change. Accept their nature, then decide how you will respond. If someone is unreliable, accept that reality and adjust your expectations. If someone is negative, accept that and limit your exposure. If someone is supportive, appreciate that and maintain the connection. This approach removes unnecessary frustration and gives you clarity. Releasing control does not mean becoming passive. It means shifting your effort toward what is actually within your reach. Your actions are yours. Your words are yours. Your attitude is yours. Your decisions are yours. These are the areas where your energy should go. Everything else is outside your command. A powerful daily practice is to separate what you can control from what you cannot. When faced with a situation, pause and ask yourself a simple question. What part of this is under my control? Then act on that part only. If the rest is not yours to manage, let it go. This habit protects your mind from unnecessary pressure. Consider a common situation. Someone speaks to you in a disrespectful tone. You cannot control their words. You cannot rewrite what they said. You cannot change their mood instantly. What you can control is your response. You can choose to stay calm. You can choose not to react emotionally. You can decide whether to continue the conversation or step away. That is where your power lies. When you try to control the uncontrollable, your mind becomes restless. You replay events. You imagine different outcomes. You feel stuck. When you focus on what you can control, your mind becomes steady. You act instead of overthinking. You move forward instead of staying trapped. Another area where people struggle is with outcomes. You may work hard and still not get the result you want. You may plan carefully and still face unexpected obstacles. You may give your best effort and still experience failure. This can feel unfair, but outcomes are influenced by many factors. Your effort is only one part of the equation. Timing, environment, other people's actions, and chance all play a role. If you tie your peace only to results, your emotional state will constantly rise and fall. A more stable approach is to focus on effort rather than outcome. Give your best in what you do. Prepare well, act with discipline. Learn from mistakes, then accept whatever result comes. This does not mean you stop aiming for success. It means you do not allow results to control your inner state. This mindset builds resilience. When things go well, you stay grounded. When things go wrong, you stay steady. You do not lose direction because your focus is on consistent action, not temporary results. There is also strength in accepting that not everything needs to be fixed immediately. Some problems take time. Some situations require patience. Trying to solve everything at once can create pressure and confusion. Instead, deal with what you can handle now and allow time to take care of the rest. Patience is a form of discipline. It is the ability to remain calm while waiting for change. It is trusting that progress does not always happen instantly. When you accept this, you reduce stress and improve your decision-making. Emotional control is another key part of this process. Strong emotions often push people to react quickly. Anger, frustration, and fear can cloud judgment. When you feel these emotions, do not act immediately. Give yourself a moment to breathe. Create space between the feeling and the response. This pause gives you clarity. It allows you to respond with reason instead of impulse. Over time, this habit becomes natural. You begin to handle situations with calmness even when pressure is high. Letting go of control also means releasing the need for constant approval. You may want others to agree with you, validate you, or appreciate your actions. When this does not happen, you feel disappointed. But approval is not something you can control. People have different views and priorities. Seeking constant validation will only make your peace dependent on others. A better approach is to act based on your values. Do what you believe is right, regardless of external approval. This builds inner confidence. You begin to trust your own judgment. You rely less on others to define your worth. This independence strengthens your mind and reduces emotional dependency. Another practical step is to limit overthinking. Overthinking often comes from trying to control every detail. You analyze situations repeatedly, searching for certainty. This creates mental fatigue. To reduce this, set clear limits for decision-making. Gather necessary information. Think carefully, then act. Once a decision is made, move forward without constant doubt. Trust that you will handle challenges as they come. Living this way requires practice. It is not about perfection. There will be moments when you fall back into old habits. You may try to control situations that are not yours to manage. You may feel frustrated when things do not go as planned. When this happens, return to the basic principle. Focus on what you can control and release the rest. Over time, this becomes a natural way of thinking. You begin to feel lighter. Your mind is not crowded with unnecessary stress. You approach life with clarity and calmness. There is also a deeper sense of freedom in this mindset. When you stop trying to control everything, you free yourself from constant tension. You allow life to flow without resistance. You become more adaptable. You handle change more easily. This does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges will still come. Difficult people will still exist. Uncertainty will always be present. The difference is how you experience these situations. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you remain steady. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond with thought. A calm and disciplined mind can handle more than a restless one. By accepting reality, you strengthen your ability to face challenges. By releasing control, you protect your peace. Every day presents an opportunity to practice this. When something does not go as expected, remind yourself to accept it. When someone behaves differently than you hoped, remind yourself that they are outside your control. When outcomes are uncertain, focus on your effort. These small reminders build a strong foundation over time. They shape the way you think and act. They create a sense of stability that is not easily shaken. You do not need perfect conditions to feel at peace. You need a clear understanding of what you can and cannot control. This clarity changes everything. It allows you to direct your energy wisely. It helps you avoid unnecessary stress. It keeps your mind focused and strong. The goal is not to control life. The goal is to master your response to it. When you achieve this, you gain real power. You become less affected by external events. You maintain your direction regardless of circumstances. This is how you free your mind. Not by changing everything around you, but by changing how you engage with it. Not by controlling every outcome, but by controlling your effort and attitude. Not by forcing people to act a certain way, but by choosing how you respond to them. Stay grounded in what is real. Act with discipline. Let go of what is not yours to control. In doing this, you create a life that is steady, clear, and strong. Chapter 3. Build strong inner stability through daily self-awareness practice. A strong life begins the moment you learn to observe your own mind before it controls your day. Most people spend years reacting to life without truly knowing why they react the way they do. They feel irritated and do not know the root of it. They feel pressure and cannot explain where it comes from. They feel restless even in quiet rooms. They call it personality or stress or a bad day, but often the real issue is lack of self-awareness. When a person cannot clearly see what is happening inside, life becomes confusing fast. Thoughts move too quickly. Emotions build without warning. Small problems feel huge. Simple choices feel heavy. That is why daily self-awareness is not a soft idea or a passing trend. It is a serious practice that gives you inner stability. Inner stability means you do not collapse every time something changes. It means your mood is not ruled by every comment, delay, or disappointment. It means you understand your inner patterns well enough to stay steady when life becomes uncomfortable. This kind of strength is not built in one day. It is built through honest observation. You begin by watching yourself without excuses and without harsh judgment. You notice what calms you. You notice what drains you. You notice what kind of thoughts return again and again. You notice how your body feels when you are tense, hurt, tired, or distracted. This honest attention is the beginning of wisdom. A self-aware person does not wait until everything falls apart to ask what is wrong. They check in with themselves often. They know that the mind sends signals before it breaks down. A heavy chest may point to stress. A tight jaw may point to hidden anger. Constant distraction may point to mental overload. Sudden impatience may point to exhaustion. These signals matter. If you ignore them, they grow louder. If you listen early, you can respond before the damage becomes deeper. One of the simplest ways to build self-awareness is to create quiet moments each day. Not long dramatic sessions, just a few honest minutes. Sit still and ask yourself what you are feeling. Ask what is taking up space in your mind. Ask what you are avoiding. Ask what needs attention. Do not rush to fix everything. At first, your only job is to see clearly. Many people are always trying to solve problems before they understand them. That often leads to more confusion. Clarity comes first, solutions come after. A person with strong inner stability knows how to separate facts from stories. A fact is what happened. A story is the meaning you attach to it. For example, someone may not reply to a message. The fact is simple. The story may be, they do not care about me, or I must have done something wrong. Many people live inside these stories without checking whether they are true. Self-awareness teaches you to pause and ask, what is actually happening here, and what am I adding to it? That question can save you from a lot of unnecessary pain. It is also important to notice the habits that shape your inner state. What time do you wake up? What do you look at first? What do you feed your mind during the day? What do you allow yourself to think about before sleep? These things matter more than people realize. A scattered routine creates a scattered mind. A clear routine creates a clearer mind. Stability is not only emotional, it is built through repetition. The way you spend your hours quietly trains your mind to be either restless or steady. Self-awareness also means paying attention to the moments when you feel most like yourself. There are times when your mind is sharp and peaceful. There are times when your energy feels open and focused. There are also times when you feel disconnected, rushed, or cloudy. The goal is to learn what supports your best state. Some people think strength means forcing themselves through every situation without noticing their limits. In truth, strength includes knowing what helps you function well. Maybe you think clearly after a walk. Maybe you feel better when you organize your space. Maybe your mind settles when you write things down. Maybe you need fewer conversations and more quiet. These are not small details. They are instructions from your own life. To build self-awareness, you must be willing to face uncomfortable truths. That is never easy. It is easier to blame other people, bad luck, or circumstances. It is easier to stay busy and avoid looking inward. But growth begins when you admit your patterns honestly. Maybe you react too fast when you feel disrespected. Maybe you avoid hard conversations and then carry resentment. Maybe you waste too much energy trying to please people. Maybe you allow fear to stop you before you even begin. Seeing these patterns does not mean you are weak. It means you are ready to change. A useful practice is to name what you feel in plain words. Not "I am fine" when you are not. Not vague labels that hide the truth. Say "I feel tense." Say "I feel disappointed." Say "I feel uncertain." Say "I feel jealous." Say "I feel tired." Naming a feeling does not make you controlled by it. It makes the feeling easier to understand. What is understood becomes easier to manage. What is ignored often grows stronger. Another helpful habit is writing. A few honest lines in a notebook can reveal more than hours of random thinking. Write what happened. Write what you felt. Write what triggered you. Write what you need. Writing slows the mind down enough to see patterns. It also gives you a place to release thoughts instead of carrying them everywhere. Many people keep their feelings locked inside and then wonder why they feel crowded. Putting words on paper can bring order to the noise. Self-awareness also grows through body awareness. Your body often speaks before your mind does. When you are stressed, you may clench your hands, hold your breath, or feel tired in a way that sleep does not fix. When you are calm, your breathing may soften and your shoulders may relax. These signs are important. The body does not lie as easily as the mind sometimes does. If you learn to notice physical tension, you can respond before stress takes over. A few slow breaths, a short walk, a glass of water, a moment away from the screen. These simple actions can restore balance before the mind becomes overwhelmed. Inner stability is also built by learning not to define yourself by every emotion you feel. Feelings move. They rise and fall. They do not all deserve equal authority. You may feel fear and still move forward. You may feel anger and still choose restraint. You may feel sadness and still keep your commitments. This is maturity. It is not pretending emotions do not exist. It is refusing to let them become your master. When you practice self-awareness daily, You begin to recognize your early warning signs. You notice when your patience is thinner than usual. You notice when your thoughts become more negative than necessary. You notice when your energy drops after certain conversations. You notice when you are more likely to make poor choices because you are tired or overwhelmed. This early awareness gives you power. It allows you to adjust before the situation gets worse. A stable mind does not come from never being affected. It comes from recovering faster and understanding yourself better each time life tests you. That is why self-awareness is so valuable. It teaches you to respond instead of react. It teaches you to pause before speaking. It teaches you to step back when emotions rise too high. It teaches you to recognize when you need rest, honesty, space, or discipline. There is deep confidence in a person who knows themselves. They do not need to perform constantly. They do not need to pretend they have everything under control. They can admit when they are off balance. They can adjust without shame. They can stay calm in the middle of pressure because they are familiar with their own inner world. That familiarity creates strength. To make this practice real, give yourself a daily check-in. In the morning, ask what kind of mood you are carrying. In the middle of the day, ask whether your mind is focused or scattered. At night, ask what drained you and what helped you. These questions may seem small, but they build a clearer relationship with yourself. Over time, you become less confused by your own reactions. You begin to lead your life with more intention, and that is the point. Self-awareness is not about becoming obsessed with yourself. It is about becoming honest enough to live wisely. It is about knowing what is happening within you so you can choose your next step with clarity. It is about building a steady inner life that does not fall apart every time the outside world changes. If you want peace, begin with observation. If you want discipline, begin with honesty. If you want strength, begin with self-knowledge. A person who can see themselves clearly can grow steadily. A person who can notice their inner life can shape it with care. That is how inner stability is built. One quiet moment, one honest question, one clear choice at a time. Chapter 4. Set clear boundaries and enforce them without guilt or fear. The moment you learn to say no with calm confidence, your life begins to change. Many people live tired because they have never learned how to protect their time, their energy, and their peace. They keep saying yes when they mean no. They keep answering messages when they need rest. They keep allowing people to cross lines that should have been clear long ago. Then they wonder why they feel drained and resentful. The truth is simple. A life without boundaries becomes a life without peace. Boundaries are not walls built out of anger. They are clear lines built out of self-respect. They tell others what is acceptable and what is not. They protect your mind from chaos and your heart from constant strain. A healthy boundary does not attack anyone. It simply defines what you will allow into your life and what you will not allow anymore. That is why boundaries are not rude. They are responsible. When people hear the word boundary, they often think of conflict. They imagine someone getting upset or disappointed. That fear keeps many people trapped. They stay silent when they should speak. They tolerate behavior that hurts them. They allow repeated disrespect because they do not want to seem difficult. But every time you ignore your own limits to keep someone else comfortable, you teach them that your peace does not matter. And when your peace does not matter to you, first, no one else will protect it for you. The strength of a boundary is not in how harsh it sounds. The strength is in how consistently you keep it. Anyone can make a promise in a moment of frustration. Real strength is shown when you calmly repeat the limit, even if someone pushes back. Real strength is shown when you stay steady instead of explaining yourself over and over. Real strength is shown when your actions match your words. A person without boundaries often feels invisible. They become the one people call whenever they need something. They become the one who absorbs everyone's stress. They become the one who is expected to understand, forgive, adjust, and give more. Over time, they can lose touch with their own needs. They may even start believing that being available all the time is the same as being loving. It is not. Love without limits becomes exhaustion. Kindness without limits becomes self-neglect. You must learn that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. If you never rest, your mind becomes weak. If you never say no, your energy disappears. If you never draw a line, your life gets shaped by other people's demands instead of your values. Clear boundaries help you stay rooted in who you are. They make space for better relationships because the right people will respect your honesty. Start with the small things. Notice where your time goes. Notice which requests you say yes to automatically. Notice which people leave you feeling pressured or guilty. Notice which conversations always end with you feeling smaller. These are signs that a boundary may be needed. Do not wait until you are completely exhausted. Protect yourself earlier. A boundary can be as simple as choosing not to answer immediately. It can be deciding that you do not accept disrespect in conversation. It can be refusing to discuss certain private matters with people who misuse your trust. It can be limiting the amount of time you spend around draining influences. It can be protecting your sleep, your study time, your work time, or your quiet time. Boundaries do not need to be dramatic to be effective. Often, the clearest boundaries are the simplest. One of the biggest reasons people avoid boundaries is guilt. They worry that saying no makes them bad. They worry that setting limits will make others angry. They worry that people will leave or criticize them. But guilt is not always a sign that you are wrong. Sometimes guilt appears when you finally stop abandoning yourself. It can feel uncomfortable to choose yourself if you are used to pleasing everyone else. That discomfort does not mean you made the wrong choice. It often means you are growing. Fear works the same way. You may fear losing approval. You may fear conflict. You may fear being misunderstood. But if fear controls your boundaries, then your life will always belong to other people. Courage does not mean you enjoy confrontation. Courage means you stay honest even when honesty is uncomfortable. Courage means you respect your own needs enough to defend them calmly. A good boundary needs clear language. Confusing messages only create confusion. Say what you mean directly and respectfully. Do not hint. Do not hope people will magically understand. Do not soften your message until it becomes empty. Speak plainly. When you do this, you give others a fair chance to understand your limit. You also give yourself a stronger sense of self-respect. You do not need to justify every limit. Many people think they have to explain themselves in detail in order to be accepted. They think if they give enough reasons, everyone will agree. In reality, some people only want to debate your right to have a boundary. The more you explain, the more they may argue. A calm and simple statement is often enough. You do not need a long defense for protecting your own well-being. After you set a boundary, you must enforce it. This is where many people struggle. They say no once and then give in the next time pressure appears. That teaches others that your boundary is flexible under pressure. If you want people to take your limits seriously, your actions must support your words. If you say you will not answer late at night, then stop responding late at night. If you say you will not tolerate disrespect, then end the conversation when disrespect appears. If you say you need time before making a decision, then take that time. Consistency builds trust in yourself. Enforcing boundaries also means learning to tolerate disappointment from others. Not everyone will be happy with your limits. Some people will resist because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. That resistance does not mean you should surrender. It simply means the boundary is working. People who truly care about you will adjust. People who only valued your availability will complain. That reaction gives you information. There is a quiet peace that comes when you stop over-explaining yourself. You begin to realize that your life does not need to be open to every demand. You do not have to answer every call. You do not have to attend every event. You do not have to share every thought. You do not have to carry every emotional weight someone places in your hands. A healthy life has shape. Boundaries give that shape. You can also set boundaries with your own habits. This matters just as much as boundaries with other people. You may need to limit scrolling. You may need to stop checking messages during important work. You may need to create a cutoff time for late-night distractions. You may need to stop revisiting conversations that make you feel angry or sad. Self-respect is not only about how others treat you. It is also about how you treat your own mind. The more you practice boundaries, the more natural they become. At first it may feel strange. You may worry that people will think you are distant. You may feel nervous saying no. But with time you will see that boundaries create healthier connections, not weaker ones. They reduce resentment. They reduce confusion. They help relationships become more honest because people know where they stand. A person who respects boundaries becomes easier to trust because they are clear. Their yes means yes, their no means no. Their time is not endlessly available. Their attention is not scattered to everyone. Their energy is protected. That kind of person builds a stable life because they are not constantly pulled apart by outside demands. Remember this clearly. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about guiding your own behavior. You cannot force people to respect you, but you can decide how you will respond when they do not. You cannot make everyone understand you, but you can choose not to abandon yourself for their comfort. You cannot remove every problem from your life, but you can stop giving free access to what harms your peace. A life with no boundaries often feels crowded and heavy. A life with clear boundaries feels lighter and more focused. You have more room to think, more room to grow, more room to breathe, more room to become who you are meant to be. That is not because the world changed overnight. It is because you changed the way you relate to the world. Stand firm in your values. Speak with calm honesty. Protect your time. Protect your mind. Protect your energy. Do not apologize for wanting peace. Do not feel guilty for keeping your limits. Do not fear the discomfort that comes with being respected differently. Every strong life is built on choices made in small moments. This is one of those choices. When you learn to set clear boundaries and hold them with confidence, your life becomes more honest, more peaceful, and more your own. That is real freedom. That is real strength. That is how you stop living as a servant to every demand and start living as the guardian of your own mind. Chapter 5. Shift focus inward and improve actions you fully control. Your power returns the moment you stop chasing what is outside and start mastering what is within your reach. Many people spend their energy watching others, comparing results, analyzing behavior, and reacting to situations they cannot control. This habit slowly weakens focus. It creates frustration because attention is placed in areas where influence is limited. When your mind is constantly turned outward, your progress becomes dependent on factors that are not stable. That is why shifting your focus inward is one of the most important decisions you can make. Looking inward does not mean ignoring the world. It means placing your primary effort where it actually produces results. Your actions are yours. Your habits are yours. Your effort is yours. Your discipline is yours. These are the areas where change is real and measurable. When you invest energy here, you build something solid. When you invest energy in controlling external situations, you often feel stuck. Start by becoming aware of where your attention goes during the day. Notice how often you think about what others are doing. Notice how often you replay conversations. Notice how often you worry about opinions, outcomes, or recognition. These patterns may feel normal, but they quietly steal your energy. Each time your focus leaves your own path, your progress slows. A strong mind learns to return its attention to what matters. When you catch yourself drifting into comparison or unnecessary concern, bring your focus back to your next action. Ask yourself a direct question. What can I do right now that improves my situation? This question removes confusion and creates movement. It turns thinking into action. Improvement begins with small decisions. Wake up at the time you planned. Complete the task you said you would finish. Speak with honesty. Keep your promises to yourself. These actions may seem simple, but they build trust within your own mind. When you trust yourself, your confidence grows naturally. You do not need constant approval because your actions already prove your strength. Many people want big results but avoid small discipline. They wait for motivation to appear before they act. They expect clarity before they begin. They look for perfect conditions before they commit. This approach leads to delay. Action creates clarity. Movement builds momentum. When you focus inward, you stop waiting and start doing. You also begin to take responsibility in a deeper way. Responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything. It is about recognizing where your influence exists and using it fully. If your habits are weak, strengthen them. If your skills are lacking, improve them. If your time is wasted, organize it better. This mindset removes excuses and replaces them with progress. There is a clear difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is automatic and often emotional. Response is thoughtful and controlled. When your focus is inward, you create space between what happens and how you act. That space allows you to choose your behavior instead of being driven by impulse. This is where real strength develops. Consider how often people lose time thinking about things they cannot change. They worry about past mistakes. They stress over future outcomes. They try to read other people's intentions. None of this improves their current situation. When you shift inward, you bring your energy back to the present moment. You ask what needs to be done now. You act on that answer. Your daily routine becomes your training ground. Every habit you repeat shapes your identity. If you act with discipline today, you build discipline for tomorrow. If you delay today, you strengthen delay for tomorrow. There is no neutral action. Every choice moves you in a direction. That is why awareness of your actions is critical. Start building a routine that supports your growth. Set a clear time to begin your day. Create a short list of priorities. Focus on completing them without distraction. Take breaks when needed, but return with intention. End your day by reviewing what you did well and what can improve. This simple structure builds consistency. Consistency builds results. You do not need to control everything to move forward. You only need to control your next step. Large goals often feel overwhelming because people try to manage the entire path at once. Break your focus down to the present task. Complete it with full attention. Then move to the next. Progress becomes manageable when you narrow your focus. Another important part of inward focus is managing your thoughts. Your mind produces many ideas throughout the day. Not all of them are useful. Some are distractions, some are fears, some are habits formed over time. If you follow every thought, your actions become scattered. Instead, learn to guide your thinking. When a negative thought appears, do not let it control your direction. Acknowledge it and return to your task. When doubt appears, do not stop your progress. Continue your effort while allowing the doubt to pass. Thoughts lose power when they are not followed by action. This is how you maintain control over your behavior. You also need to measure your progress based on effort rather than comparison. When you compare yourself constantly, you lose sight of your own path. You begin to chase someone else's results instead of building your own. Focus on whether you improved today. Focus on whether you acted with discipline. Focus on whether you kept your commitments. These are the measures that matter. There will be days when you feel slow or unmotivated. This is normal. Do not wait for perfect energy. Continue your actions at a steady pace. Even small progress keeps you moving forward. Stopping completely creates more resistance. Consistent effort, even at a lower intensity, maintains your direction. Inward focus also requires honesty about your distractions. Identify what pulls you away from your goals. It may be unnecessary browsing, long conversations, or habits that do not support your growth. Reduce these distractions step by step. Replace them with actions that move you forward. Each change strengthens your control over your time. As you practice this approach, your confidence becomes quieter and stronger. You do not need to prove yourself constantly. You know your actions are aligned with your values. You feel stable because your progress depends on your effort, not on external approval. This creates a sense of control that is real and lasting. You begin to experience less frustration because your expectations become clearer. You no longer expect others to change for your progress to begin. You no longer wait for perfect conditions. You work with what you have and improve it. This mindset keeps you moving regardless of circumstances. There is also a sense of calm that comes with this focus. When your attention is not scattered, your mind becomes clearer. You think better. You act more efficiently. You waste less energy on unnecessary concerns. This clarity improves every area of your life. Your growth becomes a personal process rather than a public performance. You are not driven by attention or recognition. You are driven by improvement. This makes your progress more stable because it is not affected by external noise. You continue your work whether people notice or not. Over time, these small actions build a strong foundation. You become more disciplined. You become more focused. You become more reliable. This is how long-term success is created, not through sudden changes, but through steady effort applied daily. Keep your attention where your power exists. Improve your actions step by step. Stay consistent even when results are not immediate. Trust that your effort is building something valuable. The more you focus inward, the stronger your life becomes. Your future is shaped by what you do today. Control your actions. Guide your thoughts. Use your time with purpose. This is how you move forward with clarity and strength. Chapter 6. Develop calm thinking during stress to handle problems effectively. Calm thinking is your greatest advantage when everything around you feels unstable. Stress does not come only from the situation itself. It grows from how quickly your mind loses order when pressure rises. Two people can face the same problem and experience it very differently. One becomes overwhelmed and reactive. The other stays composed and works through it step by step. The difference is not luck. It is mental training. When stress appears, the mind often speeds up. Thoughts become scattered, emotions rise quickly, the body tightens, breathing becomes shallow. In that state, judgment weakens. Small issues look larger than they are. Decisions become rushed. Words come out without thought. This is how problems grow instead of getting solved. Developing calm thinking means learning to slow this process down. It means training yourself to create space, even when pressure is high. This is not something that happens automatically. It is a skill built through repetition. The first step is recognizing when stress is taking control. Pay attention to the early signs. You may feel a sudden rush of tension. Your thoughts may jump from one idea to another. You may feel the urge to react immediately. These are signals. They tell you that your mind is moving too fast. If you act in this moment without control, you are more likely to make poor decisions. Instead of reacting, pause. This pause is powerful. It interrupts the automatic response. It gives you a moment to regain control. Even a few seconds can change the outcome of a situation. In that pause, bring your attention to your breathing. Slow it down. Take a steady breath in and a controlled breath out. This simple action sends a signal to your body that you are not in immediate danger. Your system begins to settle. Once your breathing slows, your thinking begins to clear. You are no longer acting from panic. You are acting from awareness. This shift is small but important. It allows you to see the situation more accurately. Now look at the problem directly. Remove unnecessary layers. Stress often comes from adding extra meaning to a situation. You imagine worst-case outcomes. You assume negative intentions. You think about everything that could go wrong. This creates mental noise. Instead, focus on what is actually happening. Identify the facts. What is the issue in its simplest form? When you strip the problem down, it becomes easier to manage. Next, separate what needs immediate action from what can wait. Not every part of a problem requires instant attention. Trying to handle everything at once creates confusion. Prioritize. Ask yourself what step will move the situation forward right now. Then take that step with full focus. After that, move to the next. This approach keeps your mind organized. Calm thinking also requires emotional discipline. Emotions are natural, but they should not control your actions. When you feel anger or fear, acknowledge it without letting it take over. You can say to yourself that you are feeling this emotion, but you are not defined by it. This creates distance between you and the feeling. It prevents impulsive behavior. One effective practice is to delay your reaction. If you receive a message that triggers you, do not respond immediately. Give yourself time. If you are in a tense conversation, slow down your speech. Choose your words carefully. This delay gives your mind time to process instead of react. It reduces the chance of saying something you may regret. Another important aspect is controlling your focus during stress. Your mind may try to jump to different problems at once. This increases pressure. Bring your focus back to one task. Handle it fully, then move on. Single focus reduces mental overload. It improves your ability to think clearly. It is also helpful to question your thoughts during stressful moments. Ask yourself if your thinking is accurate or exaggerated. Ask if there is evidence for your assumptions. Often, stress creates distorted thinking. You may believe the situation is worse than it actually is. By questioning these thoughts, you bring your mind back to reality. Your physical state plays a role as well. When your body is tense, your mind follows. Relax your posture, unclench your hands, adjust your breathing. These small actions influence your mental state. They help you regain control faster. Calm thinking is easier when your daily habits support it. If your life is always rushed, your mind becomes used to operating in a state of urgency. Build moments of stillness into your routine. Spend a few minutes each day in quiet reflection. Practice slow breathing. Limit unnecessary distractions. These habits train your mind to stay steady. Sleep and rest are also important. A tired mind struggles to stay calm under pressure. It reacts more quickly and thinks less clearly. Taking care of your basic needs strengthens your ability to handle stress. Another useful method is preparing for challenges in advance. Think about situations that usually create stress for you. Plan how you will respond calmly. Visualize yourself handling them with control. This mental preparation reduces surprise. It makes it easier to act with intention when the moment comes. Over time, you will notice a change. Situations that once caused panic will feel more manageable. You will respond with more clarity. You will solve problems more efficiently. This does not mean stress disappears completely. It means you handle it better. There is also a deeper benefit. Calm thinking protects your relationships. When you respond with control, you avoid unnecessary conflict. You communicate more clearly. You listen better. This creates stronger connections with others. It also improves your decision-making. When your mind is clear, you see options more accurately. You weigh consequences more carefully. You choose actions that lead to better outcomes. This builds confidence in your ability to handle challenges. Remember that calm thinking is not about suppressing emotion. It is about guiding it. You allow yourself to feel, but you do not let feelings take over your actions. This balance creates strength. Practice this skill daily, not only during major problems. Use it in small situations. When you feel slight irritation, pause. When you feel rushed, slow down. When you face a minor challenge, apply the same process. These small repetitions build a strong habit. Consistency is key. Each time you choose calm thinking, you reinforce that pattern. Each time you react without control, you strengthen the opposite pattern. Your mind learns from repetition. Train it with intention. There will be moments when you fail. You may react too quickly or lose your composure. When this happens, do not judge yourself harshly. Learn from it. Ask what triggered the reaction. Ask how you can respond better next time. This reflection turns mistakes into progress. The goal is not perfection. The goal is improvement. Each step toward calm thinking makes you stronger. Each moment of control builds resilience. Over time, this becomes your natural response. You begin to trust yourself in difficult situations. You know that even if pressure rises, you can handle it. This trust reduces fear. It allows you to face challenges with confidence. Stay focused on the process, pause when stress appears, control your breathing, identify the real problem. Take one step at a time. Guide your emotions, maintain your focus. These actions keep your mind steady. Calm thinking is a skill that shapes your entire life. It influences how you handle work, relationships, and personal challenges. It determines whether problems control you or you manage them effectively. Build this skill with patience and discipline. Protect your mental clarity, respond with intention, handle stress with control. This is how you create a stable and capable mind that can face any situation with strength. Chapter 7. Let go of past hurt and stop replaying painful memories. You begin to reclaim your life the moment you decide that your past will no longer control your present. Many people are physically in today but mentally trapped in yesterday. They replay conversations that already ended. They revisit moments where they felt hurt, rejected, or disrespected. They go over the same details again and again, searching for different answers that will never come. This habit slowly drains energy and keeps the mind tied to something that cannot be changed. The past has power only when you keep feeding it attention. Every time you return to an old wound without purpose, you give it more strength. Every time you repeat a painful memory, you reopen something that should be allowed to settle. This is why letting go is not about forgetting everything that happened. It is about choosing not to relive it every day. Painful experiences leave marks. That is part of being human. You may have been misunderstood, treated unfairly, ignored, or hurt by someone you trusted. These events can stay in your mind because they carried strong emotion. The problem begins when those memories become your daily focus. When your mind keeps returning to them, your present becomes heavy even when nothing is wrong in front of you. Letting go starts with understanding one clear truth. You cannot go back and change what already happened. No amount of thinking will rewrite that moment. No amount of replaying will produce a different result. Holding on to it does not protect you. It keeps you stuck. Accepting this truth is not easy, but it is necessary. Many people hold on to past hurt because they feel it gives them control. They think that by remembering every detail, they will avoid being hurt again. In reality, constant replay creates more sensitivity. It makes you react strongly to small triggers. It keeps your mind alert in a negative way. Instead of protecting you, it limits your ability to move forward. You must learn to separate the event from the lesson. The event is the experience itself. The lesson is what you take from it. The event belongs to the past. The lesson belongs to your growth. Once you take the lesson, you no longer need to carry the weight of the event. This shift allows you to move forward with wisdom instead of pain. Start by noticing when your mind begins to replay a memory. Do not follow it automatically. Pause and recognize what is happening. Say to yourself that this is a memory, not the present moment. This simple awareness creates distance. It reminds you that you are not inside that situation anymore. After that, bring your focus back to what is in front of you. Look around, notice where you are. Feel your breathing. This grounds you in the present. It breaks the pattern of getting lost in old thoughts. Each time you do this, you weaken the habit of replaying. Another important step is to change how you interpret the past. Many people attach meaning that keeps them stuck. They may believe that what happened defines their worth. They may think it proves something negative about them. These interpretations create ongoing pain. You must question them. Ask yourself if the meaning you attached is actually true. Just because someone treated you poorly does not mean you deserve it. Just because something did not work out does not mean you are not capable. Replace these false conclusions with clear thinking. See the situation for what it was without turning it into a permanent label about yourself. Forgiveness is also part of letting go. This does not mean you agree with what happened. It does not mean you forget or allow the same behavior again. Forgiveness means you release the hold that the situation has on your mind. You stop carrying anger as a daily burden. You decide that your peace is more important than holding on to resentment. Holding anger may feel justified, but it often hurts you more than anyone else. It keeps your mind tied to the past. It affects your mood, your focus, and your relationships. Letting go of anger frees up energy that can be used for growth. It allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary weight. You also need to forgive yourself. Many people replay their own mistakes repeatedly. They think about what they should have done differently. They criticize themselves harshly. This creates a cycle of regret. While it is important to learn from mistakes, it is not helpful to punish yourself endlessly. Recognize that you acted based on what you knew at that time. Accept that you are capable of growth. Take responsibility for your actions, but do not let them define your entire identity. Use the experience as a lesson and move forward with better choices. Another useful practice is to limit how much time you spend thinking about the past. If a memory comes up, acknowledge it briefly and then redirect your focus. You do not need to analyze it for long periods. Set a clear boundary with your thoughts. This helps break the habit of overthinking. You can also replace this habit with something productive. When you catch yourself replaying a memory, shift your attention to a task. It could be work, exercise, or any activity that requires focus. Action helps move your mind out of the loop of repetition. Physical movement can also help release stored tension. A simple walk or light exercise can change your mental state. It gives your mind a break from constant thinking. It allows your body to process stress in a healthy way. Your environment matters as well. Surround yourself with things that support your present life. Keep your space organized. Spend time with people who bring calm and clarity. Limit exposure to anything that triggers negative memories unnecessarily. These changes create a supportive setting for moving forward. Letting go does not mean the memory disappears completely. It means the memory loses its emotional intensity. Over time, it becomes just a part of your story, not the center of your attention. You can remember it without feeling overwhelmed. This is a sign of progress. There will be moments when old feelings return. This is normal. Do not see it as failure. See it as part of the process. Each time you choose not to dwell on it, you strengthen your ability to move forward. Each time you return to the present, you build a new pattern. Patience is important in this process. Deep hurt does not disappear overnight. It takes consistent effort to change how you respond to it. Stay committed to your progress. Do not expect immediate results. Focus on small improvements each day. As you let go of past hurt, you create space for new experiences. Your mind becomes lighter. Your energy becomes available for growth. You begin to notice opportunities that were hidden by constant thinking about the past. This shift opens the door to a better future. You also improve your relationships. When you are not carrying old pain, you interact with others more clearly. You listen better. You respond with less defensiveness. You build connections based on the present instead of reacting from past experiences. This process strengthens your inner stability. You become less affected by memories and more focused on your current life. You gain control over your attention. You decide where your energy goes. This control is a powerful tool for personal growth. Stay focused on what you can do now. The present moment is where your life is happening. It is where your actions create change. Do not let past events take away your ability to live fully today. Choose to release what no longer serves you. Choose to learn without holding on to pain. Choose to move forward with clarity. Your life is not defined by what happened before. It is shaped by what you do now. This decision gives you freedom. It allows you to step out of the cycle of replaying and into a state of progress. It gives you the strength to build a life that is not limited by old experiences. Chapter 8. Create simple daily habits that strengthen discipline and mental clarity. Your future changes when your daily habits become simple enough to follow and strong enough to shape your mind. Big progress does not usually come from rare moments of intense effort. It comes from ordinary actions repeated with care. People often wait for a perfect plan or a sudden burst of motivation, but real discipline grows in quiet daily choices. A clear mind and a strong character are not built in a single day. They are built through small habits that you repeat even when you do not feel like it. That is where power begins. Simple habits are effective because they remove confusion. When your day is full of small decisions, your mind becomes tired before important work even begins. When your routine is clear, you spend less energy figuring out what to do next. You wake up with direction. You move through the day with less mental noise. You end the day knowing that you used your time well. This is not about living a rigid life. It is about building a life that supports your goals instead of weakening them. Start with how you begin your morning. The first part of the day matters because it shapes your focus. If you begin the day by rushing, checking your phone without intention, or filling your mind with other people's problems, you start from a place of disorder. A better beginning is calm and deliberate. Get up at a steady time. Sit quietly for a few moments. Take a slow breath. Decide what matters most today. This small routine tells your mind that you are in charge of your direction. Clarity grows when you know what deserves your attention. Before you dive into the day, choose a few tasks that matter most. Keep the list short and realistic. A long list can create pressure and confusion. A short list helps you stay focused. Finish one thing at a time. Give each task your full attention. This trains your mind to stay with the work instead of jumping around. Discipline becomes easier when your next step is clear. Another habit that strengthens mental clarity is creating order in your space. A messy environment can make it harder to think clearly. When your room, desk, or work area is cluttered, your mind often feels cluttered too. Take a few minutes each day to reset the space around you. Put things back where they belong. Clear away what is not needed. This simple action can reduce mental noise more than people realize. Clean surroundings support a calm mind. Your body also plays a major role in your mental condition. If you neglect sleep, movement, and basic care, your mind will struggle to stay sharp. Discipline is not only about work, it is also about giving your body what it needs. Sleep at a consistent time. Drink water. Move your body during the day. Stretch, walk. Take care of your energy instead of draining it through poor habits. A tired body often creates a tired mind. A cared-for body supports clear thinking. One of the strongest daily habits is pausing before reacting. Throughout the day, many things can disturb your peace. A message may frustrate you, a comment may annoy you, a delay may test your patience. In those moments, the habit of pausing can protect your mind. Instead of reacting immediately, stop for a moment. Breathe, think, then respond. This small delay can prevent careless words and emotional decisions. The more often you do this, the stronger your self-control becomes. You should also make time for quiet thinking. Many people fill every moment with noise, but a clear mind needs space. Even 10 minutes of quiet reflection can help you understand what is happening inside you. During that time, ask yourself what is working, what is draining you, and what needs your attention. This kind of reflection helps you stay honest with yourself. It also makes it easier to notice patterns before they become problems. A daily habit of writing can also improve mental clarity. You do not need to write pages. A few honest lines are enough. Write what you need to remember. Write what is bothering you. Write what you learned. Writing helps slow the mind and organize your thoughts. It turns vague feelings into clear words. Once something is clear, it becomes easier to handle. Many people carry mental weight simply because they never give their thoughts a place to land. Discipline grows when you keep promises to yourself. This is one of the most important habits of all. If you say you will do something, do it. If you plan to finish a task, finish it. If you choose a new habit, follow it through. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your trust in your own character. Every time you break one, you weaken it. Self-trust is built slowly through repeated actions. It is not based on grand statements. It is based on consistency. You do not need to change your whole life in one day. In fact, Trying to do too much at once often leads to failure. Start with one habit, then another. Maybe you begin with waking up at the same time each day. Maybe you start with 10 minutes without your phone in the morning. Maybe you begin by setting 3 priorities for the day. Small changes may not look impressive at first, but they are easier to maintain. Over time they create strong results. Mental clarity also depends on what you consume. What you read, watch and hear affects your thinking more than you may notice. If you spend your day on content that is loud, negative, or distracting, your mind becomes less focused. Be careful with what enters your thoughts. Choose material that teaches, strengthens, or calms you. Reduce unnecessary noise. Protect your attention. Your mind becomes clearer when you feed it carefully. A simple evening routine can also help. End the day in a way that prepares you for tomorrow. Review what you accomplished. Notice what went well. Identify one thing to improve. Put away distractions before bed. Prepare what you need for the next day. This removes friction and helps your mind settle. When the night ends with order, the morning begins with less stress. There is also great value in repetition. People often look for excitement, but strength comes from repeating useful actions. Drink water each day, read each day, move your body each day, write each day, reflect each day. These habits may feel ordinary, but ordinary actions repeated well become a strong foundation. A stable life is not built on rare effort. It is built on simple things done consistently. Some days will feel harder than others. There will be mornings when you do not feel ready. There will be afternoons when your attention is weak. There will be nights when your mind feels crowded. On those days, do not abandon your habits. Reduce them if needed, but do not break them completely. A smaller version of the habit is better than none. A short walk is better than sitting still in stress. A few minutes of writing is better than carrying thoughts all night. Steady effort matters more than perfect effort. When you live this way, your mind begins to change. You become less scattered. You become more disciplined. You think more clearly because your day has structure. You feel more capable because you are no longer depending on random motivation. You are building a system that supports you even when your feelings change. That is real progress. These habits also shape how you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who must constantly struggle with chaos. You start seeing yourself as someone who can stay steady and follow through. That identity change is powerful. It affects the way you speak, work, and respond to stress. It becomes easier to trust your own growth. Stable habits may not look dramatic from the outside, but they create deep internal strength. They teach your mind to stay focused. They teach your body to support your goals. They teach your spirit to value order, patience, and follow through. That combination is rare, and it changes everything. Keep your habits simple. Keep them honest. Keep them steady. Do not wait for a better moment to begin. Begin with what is possible now. Use your mornings wisely. Protect your focus. Keep your space in order. Sleep with intention. Write what matters. Move your body. Keep your promises. These small actions, repeated daily, will strengthen discipline and bring clarity to your mind. Your life improves when your habits support the person you want to become. Stay close to what is simple and useful. Let your routines build you quietly. Over time, you will see the result in your thoughts, your actions, and your peace. Chapter 9. Choose positive responses instead of reacting emotionally to people. Your life changes the moment you stop letting emotions speak before your wisdom does. Every day you interact with people who may not think the way you expect, speak the way you prefer, or behave the way you hope. Some words will feel sharp, some actions will feel unfair, some situations will feel frustrating. In those moments, your first instinct may be to react immediately. But reaction is not always strength. Often, reaction is surrender to emotion without direction. A reaction is fast and automatic. It comes from impulse. It is shaped by feelings in the moment, not by long-term thinking. A response is different. A response is chosen. It is shaped by awareness, patience, and control. When you learn to respond instead of react, You begin to take charge of your inner world. You stop being pushed around by every situation and start acting with intention. Emotional reactions often create more problems than they solve. A quick reply in anger can damage relationships. A defensive response can escalate misunderstanding. A sarcastic comment can create distance that is hard to repair. Many people do not regret what others did to them as much as they regret how they responded in the moment. That regret comes from losing control for a few seconds. Choosing a positive response does not mean ignoring your feelings. It means understanding them without letting them take over your behavior. You may feel upset, but you do not have to act from that upset state. You may feel disrespected, but you do not need to destroy a conversation because of it. You may feel pressure, but you do not need to rush into decisions that harm your peace. The key is awareness. When something triggers you, notice it before you act. There is always a small moment between feeling and action. That moment is where your power exists. If you can recognize that space, you can choose your response instead of falling into habit. This awareness grows stronger with practice. One effective way to build this control is to slow down your communication. Instead of replying immediately, take a pause. Even a few seconds can shift your thinking. During that pause, focus on your breathing. This helps your mind settle. A calm mind sees more clearly than a reactive one. When your thoughts are clear, your words become more accurate and less harmful. Another important practice is questioning your first interpretation. When someone says something that feels offensive or frustrating, your mind may quickly assume meaning. You may think they are attacking you or disrespecting you, but not every action carries the meaning we assign to it. Sometimes people speak from stress, confusion, or their own limitations. Before reacting, ask yourself if there could be another explanation. This does not excuse bad behavior, but it prevents unnecessary emotional escalation. Positive response is also about choosing what outcome you want. If your goal is peace, reacting with anger rarely supports that goal. If your goal is understanding, reacting with hostility blocks it. If your goal is respect, reacting with emotional instability weakens it. When you define your desired outcome first, your response becomes more intentional. There will always be situations that test your patience. Someone may interrupt you, someone may misunderstand you, someone may speak unfairly. In those moments, your strength is not measured by how loudly you respond, but by how calmly you stay grounded. Calmness is not weakness, it is control. It shows that your emotions are not driving your behavior. You also need to understand that not every situation requires a response at all. Silence is sometimes the most powerful choice. When you respond to every comment, every opinion, and every disturbance, you give away your energy unnecessarily. Some things lose importance when you do not feed them attention. Choosing not to react is also a form of response. It is a decision to preserve your peace. Another important aspect is learning to detach your self-worth from other people's behavior. When someone acts negatively, it does not define your value. When someone misunderstands you, it does not reduce your worth. When someone criticizes you, it does not automatically make it true. If your identity depends on others' actions, your emotions will always be unstable. But if your identity is grounded internally, external behavior has less control over you. You should also train yourself to respond with clarity instead of intensity. Intensity often comes from emotion, clarity comes from understanding. A clear response is simple, direct, and calm. It does not over-explain or overreact. It communicates what needs to be said without unnecessary emotional weight. This kind of communication builds respect over time. In daily life, you can practice this by observing small interactions. When someone is slow, instead of reacting with frustration, adjust your expectation. When someone disagrees with you, instead of reacting defensively, listen first. When something goes wrong, instead of reacting with blame, look for solutions. These small shifts build emotional discipline. It is also important to recognize your triggers. Everyone has certain situations that affect them more strongly than others. It may be criticism, delay, rejection, or misunderstanding. Knowing your triggers gives you an advantage. When you recognize them early, you can prepare your response instead of reacting unconsciously. Awareness turns emotional weakness into manageable behavior. You will not always respond perfectly. There will be moments when emotion takes over. That is part of being human. The goal is not perfection. The goal is improvement. Each time you catch yourself reacting too quickly, you learn something about your pattern. Each time you choose calmness, you strengthen your control. Growth happens through repetition. Over time, choosing positive responses changes how people experience you. You become someone who is steady under pressure. You become someone who does not escalate situations easily. You become someone who brings balance instead of chaos. This does not mean everyone will always agree with you, but it creates respect for your emotional stability. Internally, you also feel the difference. When you react less, your mind feels lighter. You do not carry the weight of unnecessary arguments or emotional regret. You sleep with fewer unresolved thoughts. You move through the day with more clarity. This inner peace becomes more valuable than winning any emotional reaction. Another key practice is self-talk during difficult moments. When you feel triggered, remind yourself that you are in control of your response. This simple reminder helps interrupt automatic reactions. It brings awareness back to your choices. Over time, this becomes a mental habit that strengthens discipline. You should also reflect after emotional situations. Ask yourself how you responded, what triggered you, and how you could respond better next time. This reflection is not about judgment. It is about learning. Each experience becomes a lesson that improves your future behavior. The ability to choose your response is one of the strongest forms of personal freedom. It means that no matter what others do, your inner state is not completely controlled by them. You maintain authority over your thoughts, your words, and your actions. That authority creates stability in both relationships and personal life. When you consistently choose thoughtful responses over emotional reactions, your mind becomes more balanced. You stop living in constant emotional waves. You begin to see situations more clearly. You become less affected by temporary disturbances. This skill takes time to develop, but every moment is an opportunity to practice it. Each conversation, each challenge, each misunderstanding gives you a chance to choose differently. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Stay patient with yourself as you grow. Emotional control is built gradually. What matters is direction, not speed. Every step toward calm response is a step toward greater mental strength. Every choice to pause instead of react is a step toward inner stability. In the end, your power is not in controlling others. Your power is in controlling your response to others. When you master that, your life becomes more peaceful, more stable, and more aligned with who you truly want to be. Chapter 10. Commit to lifelong growth and take responsibility for your peace. Your life transforms completely when you stop waiting for change and start becoming the source of your own growth. Many people live as if peace is something that will eventually arrive on its own. They wait for circumstances to improve. They wait for people to behave differently. They wait for stress to disappear. They wait for the perfect moment when life will finally feel stable. But life does not adjust itself to waiting. It responds to action. Growth is not something that happens around you. It is something you commit to every day within yourself. Lifelong growth is not a destination. It is a continuous decision. It means you are willing to improve even when things are going well. It means you are willing to learn even after failure. It means you are willing to adjust even when comfort feels easier. A person committed to growth does not stop because life becomes difficult or predictable. They keep evolving regardless of conditions. Taking responsibility for your peace is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. It means you stop placing your emotional stability in the hands of other people or external events. You stop believing that your mood depends on how others act. You stop thinking that your calmness will automatically come from perfect circumstances. Instead, you accept that your peace is your responsibility. This shift changes everything. When you take responsibility, you stop blaming. You stop waiting. You stop reacting as if life is happening to you without your participation. You begin to understand that your responses, your habits, and your mindset all play a direct role in your experience. Growth begins with awareness that you are always learning. No matter how much you know, there is always more to understand. No matter how much progress you make, there is always another level of discipline, patience, and clarity to develop. This mindset keeps you open instead of rigid. It prevents stagnation. It keeps your mind active and adaptable. One of the most important parts of lifelong growth is honesty with yourself. You must be willing to see where you are weak without avoiding it. You must be willing to acknowledge habits that slow you down. You must be willing to accept feedback from your own experiences. This does not mean being harsh with yourself. It means being truthful. Growth cannot happen in denial. A responsible mind does not wait for external motivation. It creates structure. It builds routines that support progress. It makes decisions based on long-term improvement rather than short-term comfort. This may include waking up with intention, managing time wisely, reducing distractions, and staying consistent even when motivation fades. Discipline becomes more important than emotion. Peace also requires ownership of your reactions. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control how you interpret and respond to it. If your peace depends entirely on external behavior, it will always be unstable. But if your peace is built on internal responsibility, it becomes steady even when life is unpredictable. There will always be situations that challenge your patience. There will always be people who behave in ways you do not expect. There will always be delays, misunderstandings, and changes. These are part of life. The difference lies in how you carry yourself through them. A responsible mindset does not collapse under pressure. It adapts and continues. Lifelong growth also requires letting go of the idea that you have already arrived. When people believe they have reached a final stage, they stop improving. They become resistant to change. They defend their habits instead of examining them. This limits progress. Growth continues only when you stay open to refinement. Each day gives you opportunities to improve small areas of your life. You can improve how you think. You can improve how you respond. You can improve how you manage your time. You can improve how you handle stress. These small improvements accumulate over time. They shape your character more than any single decision. Taking responsibility for your peace also means managing your environment wisely. The spaces you spend time in influence your thoughts. The people you interact with influence your mindset. The information you consume influences your emotions. If you allow constant negativity, your mind becomes heavier. If you choose clarity and balance, your mind becomes stronger. Responsibility includes choosing what you allow into your mental space. You must also accept that not every situation needs emotional involvement. Some things are temporary. Some things are not as important as they feel in the moment. A responsible mindset learns to step back and evaluate instead of reacting immediately. This prevents unnecessary emotional damage. Another important part of growth is consistency. Real change does not come from occasional effort. It comes from repeated actions. Even small steps, when taken consistently, build strong results over time. Reading a few pages daily, reflecting for a few minutes, staying disciplined with habits, and practicing patience in daily interactions all contribute to long-term development. There will be times when you feel unmotivated or distracted. That is normal. Responsibility does not disappear during those moments. It becomes more important. You continue even without strong emotion guiding you. You act based on commitment, not feeling. This is where real discipline is built. Peace is also connected to how you manage expectations. Unrealistic expectations often lead to frustration. When you expect people to always act a certain way, you create disappointment. When you expect life to be smooth at all times, you create stress. A responsible mindset replaces unrealistic expectations with awareness. You accept that life includes variation and uncertainty. Growth requires patience with yourself. You will not change overnight. You will not always make the right decisions. You will not always respond perfectly, but each experience teaches something. Each mistake becomes information. Each challenge becomes practice. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direction. When you take responsibility for your peace, you stop waiting for others to fix how you feel. You begin to understand that your internal state is shaped by your choices. This realization is powerful because it gives you control. It removes the idea that you are helpless in the face of external events. A peaceful life is not one without problems. It is a life where problems no longer control your inner world. It is a life where you respond with clarity instead of chaos. It is a life where you continue growing even during difficulty. That stability comes from responsibility. You also begin to develop self-respect. When you commit to growth, you stop ignoring your own needs. You start valuing your time, your energy, and your focus. You make decisions that support your future rather than harm it. This self-respect strengthens your confidence and reduces emotional instability. Over time, lifelong growth becomes part of your identity. You no longer see improvement as a task. You see it as a natural way of living. You observe, adjust, and continue. You learn from everything. You stay open to change. You stay committed to progress. This mindset makes life less reactive and more intentional. You are no longer pulled in every direction by circumstances. You move with purpose. You choose your responses. You guide your thoughts. You manage your energy. In the end, peace is not something you find outside yourself. It is something you build through awareness, discipline, and responsibility. Growth is not something you finish. It is something you live. When you commit to lifelong growth and take full responsibility for your peace, you step into a different way of living. A way where your mind is clearer, your actions are stronger, and your life is shaped by intention rather than reaction.